G'day guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Time Bomb channel, and I hope all is good and excellent in your part of the world. Watch review today of the Swatch Scubaqua Black Sea Nettle. Interesting recent release from the brand, and this one of course has been lent into the channel by the great people, good people over at First Class Watches. Do hit them up, let them know you've come from the Time Bomb channel, because they will certainly help with price matching. And they've got a lot of very interesting brands and watches over there. So depending on whether you look at the Moonswatch here as a massive success or an epic fail, let's see what you make of this recent release. It caught my eye because I'd wondered as well if perhaps they'd listened to any of the feedback, and there's a lot of that around on the Moonswatch. And also because it's named after some rather spectacular jellyfish, it certainly piqued my curiosity. Let's just zoom a fraction and focus up. So these retail in the UK for £135. So yes, they're way better priced than the Blancpain. They are around 44 mils across, quite a substantial 15.4 mils deep, and then again quite large at 51 mils north to south. You get 10 bar 100 meters worth of watery goodness, and let me just show you what those specs look like on wrist. Yeah, so my wrist is 7¼ inch for reference. Because of they're so ridiculously light, the size doesn't actually impact too much on wrist. The shoulders for me sort of hug my wrist quite well, so I think the curvature here as well is very positive in enabling fitting. But yeah, they're quite tall top to bottom. So again, for some people, they may find them too large. But as I say, because they're so light, to me, it doesn't actually make that much difference at all. The case body obviously is then their bioceramic, or depending on which way you prefer to call it, the castor oil and powder combination. Note as well that these being standard swatches, the case back is sort of laser sealed in there, so they're unserviceable. So you've just got your standard battery swap out option around the back here. But you start reading the blogs and people get quite sort of defensive in saying that, you know, these things tick for years. I've not had a Swatch for years, so I can't, you know, I don't have testament to their longevity. The strap on the sea nettle here then is sort of integrated. You do get some little holes here to swap them out, so should you wish to stick a different strap on them from one of the other versions, you can do. It strikes me as being a little bit of a lint dust magnet, but if you're wearing this outside, you know, it's getting wet, you probably won't notice that too much. As I mentioned before, they do, you know, it's part of a series. They're named after some really spectacular jellyfish, as I mentioned before. I think the bright colors of the resins in the series are very eye-catching, but perhaps belie that certain seriousness that we find with other more conservatively styled watch brands or dive watches. The first up here then is the Blue Fire. It's almost an electric blue, as is its namesake, which I think is, you know, they've matched the colors up there very well. The lion's mane here then is a very bold red, and I'm not sure if you've ever seen images of these jellies, but if I was diving back in the day and I'd come across one of these, I think I might have needed a clean dive suit. Those things are absolute monsters. The Aurelia Arita here is quite playful in this white. In reality, the moon jelly is slightly more pink purple, but I think of all of them, this white is my favorite. Simply because I think the transparency aspect works the best out of all of the versions. The egg yolk here, well, I kind of don't usually eat my eggs if the yolks are that color, but the egg yolk jelly is usually more that sort of, as you can see here, it's more of the true yolk color. So yeah, a little bit of an odd one. This one is named after the black sea nettle, and those jellies are perhaps a little bit more purpley black, but again, no less stunning to look at. I mentioned that see-through aspect of the watch, and as you can see here, you get an element of the translucency there on the strap. You can sort of see through things on the back, but the case body and the dial, let's just get in a bit closer there. The dial, because of it being the black, I mean, you can see through it, but it's less noticeable. It's more obscured than perhaps on the other ones. As I say, if you wanted to go all see-through, I think the Aurelia Rita is the one to go for. The bezel, come back out. The bezel is probably as you would expect from a light plastic. It's quite light sounding, and it feels very light to the touch, but it's effective, does its job, and it pretty much lines up okay at the top there. It's not specifically tight. Again, you probably wouldn't expect that. There's not necessarily much back play, but it is quite sort of loose between. So as soon as you put any pressure on it, it starts to pop off around, which again, perhaps, you know, no bad thing on something like this. Let me just throw it back up to the top. Alignment, etc., I think is quite okay with the hour markers. I haven't spotted any glaring misalignment there. The crown as well, very interestingly placed at the 10. It's just that little bit different. Obviously, it's a pop, as you would expect, and I don't think there's any reason, you know, for putting it up at the 10 other than simply because it's just that little bit different, isn't it? There's no other functionality that I can think of. Notice with the standard swatch movements, let me see if you can hear it. You do get that quite loud audible tick. So again, I wouldn't recommend leaving this on your bedside table. The lumage, there is lumage, and it's a tad weak. I think, as you can see from the hour markers, they really did need another dollop of lume applying. And if it was me, I would have loomed up the strap as well, also, just to sort of, you know, give it that jelly, you know, sort of impact. In conclusion, though, I think it's a really fun piece, and I think for the price, they're going to sell very, very well and be very, very popular. They appear to me to be slightly better built than the Moonswatch in that they're slightly less fragile, there's less to knock off, etc. But obviously I haven't tested its robustness because this is a lone watch, and I don't think first classes would really appreciate me, you know, bashing this around too much. But yeah, as I say, a fun summer watch, and I think they've priced it to sell. As always, those are just my random thoughts. Looking forward to hearing yours, guys, down below. Thanks as always for your time and for your view, and we'll catch you all in the next watch vid. Cheers now.